Hi, in today's session I want to talk about the lungs. The lungs are an essential part of the respiratory system, and whenever the lungs are congested, well, obviously it breaks down your ability to bring in copious amounts of oxygen. And oxygen feeds not only your brain but every single cell in your body. In addition, one of the beautiful things about the lungs is that as blood passes through, it pulls out the carbon dioxide so that when you exhale, you're getting rid of poisonous, toxic gases, especially those that are the end result of metabolic processes within the body. So as far as nutrients are concerned for the lung, the key nutrients would be the minerals, because the lungs work on muscular transactions. So you always want to have minerals because they allow the electricity of thought to get to the cells that make up the muscles, so the muscles know what to do, to compress or relax and allow for respiration to take place. The only thing that interferes with respiration is phlegm and mucus, when you get cold, when you drink too much dairy. And so to break up the phlegm and mucus, you want to look at herbs like slippery elm, marshmallow, mullein, horehound, pleurisy root. All of those have a very beneficial effect on the lungs and will help keep your lungs clean. From a spiritual point of view, or a symbolic point of view, as I said, the lungs are part of respiration, so symbolically they represent the ability to bring in spirit into the system. That's why any time that there is lung congestion, sinus congestion, that always tells me that the person is into doubt on some levels about their ability to deal with something that is currently going on. Somebody brought up to me, well, that's part of getting a cold. And yes, it can be, or the flu, it can be bronchitis, another thing. And I bring up the point that, when kids go back to school, not a lot, but some children come home from each and every classroom catching a cold. Why doesn't everybody get sick? And the answer is because of emotional stability, emotional confidence in self. Because those children that get sick are the ones who may feel overwhelmed, ill-prepared to deal with what they have to deal with going into a new school, starting a new year, meeting new people. Some people are uncomfortable doing that. So, which kind of validates from a different point of view my fundamental assertion that all diseases and conditions are the result of emotional conflict. Now, I know I've had people come to me and say, well, no, wait a minute, what about genetics and what about hereditary diseases? So as far as hereditary diseases go, I'll point to this teaching in the Bible that talks about the inequities of the father passed on to 3 and 4 generations, to the children and the children's children. And what is that? Being in the family, you have a disposition towards whatever the diet is, whatever the concepts are, whatever the thinking is, whatever the actions are. And so, yes, from a hereditary point of view, you could end up with one of their diseases unless you wake up and break the chain and change your diet, change your thinking. You are what you eat, you are what you think. What is their universal teaching is what is within will manifest without. So if you want a different without, then obviously you need to change your within. And from a genetic point of view, well, that takes me to the concept of karma and reincarnation. Don't know how you feel about that. However, I will share this with you. In Ecclesiastes, in chapter 3, verse 15, which is one of my favorites because it talks about patterns of behavior flowing in cycles. In fact, here it is. And as you can see, the last line is, and God requires that which is past. That's karma. There's no such thing as good karma, bad karma. It's just a matter of balancing out your life. If you've done bad in a previous life, well, guess what? You have an opportunity to do good in this life to balance out the scales, so to speak. So a soul remanifesting in the material plane may choose a position or a situation or a body that comes out corrupted, has a disease or a condition. Why? Because that disease or condition gives that soul within that body an opportunity to learn something from the situation so that it doesn't have to repeat it again. I know that's a little hard for a lot of people to take. Don't know what to tell you. You know, everything in life is a matter of what we know, what we understand, and the concepts that we live with that create our belief system. And what I would say to you is dig deep within yourself and examine your belief system. Maybe everything that you subscribe to is really not the truth, nor is it beneficial for you. And yet you may embrace it because it's what you were taught, it's what you believe to be true. Jesus taught, "Seek and ye shall find." In fact, in the Gospel according to Thomas, my favorite piece of biblical work, there's this teaching. Seek, you'll find. When you find, you're going to be troubled. When you trouble, you're going to marvel. And then you're going to reign over the all. The trouble is when you realize that, no, you're really not that. You're this. You're something more wonderful. And yet you've been taught that you're lazy, silly, messy, always late, whatever the case may be. And yet the reality is, because the kingdom of God is within you, you're a part of God, you can't be any of those things. You're already wonderful. That's the marvel. When you come to that insight, that understanding, it's like, wow, yeah, I'm fabulous. Okay? And then you begin to get rid of your ego and allow your spiritual self to manifest. That is when you reign over the all. So, breathe deep. Bring in a lot of spirit. Oxygen is symbolic of spirit. Bring it in and get rid of the toxins and poisons and the bad thoughts and the bad food that you are consuming. They are one and the same. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. I hope I've kind of stimulated some thinking. I know I certainly challenged some of your belief systems. Check it out. You may find that everything I've told you is true. Have a fabulous everything, and thanks for your time.